If you're watching this video, it means you knew how to construct an AON network. Congratulations! Now, you already built up a network. Activity unknown network for more specific. Next question. How can you derive information such as the project duration, the critical path, and slack times to make decisions relating to your project? The answer will be reviewed through this section. Let's go! Drawing the project network places the activities in the right sequence for computing their start and finish times. We will follow a process known as the forward and backward pass. Completion of the forward pass will answer questions related to earliest times, such as early start, early finish, and project expected time or project duration. On the other hand, backward pass will answer questions concerning latest times, such as late start, late finish, critical path, and slack times of activities. We go back to the example of order picking system project to illustrate this process. This time, duration of each activity is also given beside activity sequences. This is the project network. Be aware that the nodes, which represent activities, are expanded into a box with 8 cells. Please look at the legend box at the bottom right of the figure to know the meaning of each cell. ES stands for early start, ID of that activity, which can be A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. EF stands for early finish. SL stands for slack or flow time. LS stands for late start, the duration of each activity, and late finish of that activity. The forward path starts with the first project activity and traces each path through the network to the last project activity. As you trace along the path, you add the activity times. ES adds the duration of that activity equal EF or early finish. The forward path begins with the project start time, which is usually time 0. In this case, the early start time of A is 0. The early finish for activity A is 10 days because early start of the activity plus duration of that activity equal its early finish time, or 0 and 10 is 10. Next, we see that A is the predecessor for B and C. Therefore, the earliest B and C can begin is the instant in time when A is complete. This time is 10 days. Using the formula, the early finish or EF times for B and C are 15 and 35 days respectively. Following the same process of moving along each network path, the early start and finish times for selected activities are calculated. Activity H, or integrate system, is a merge activity because it is preceded by 3 activities. The early start of a merge activity depends on the early finish of all activities that merge to it. Which activity controls the ES of activity H? The answer is activity E, since it has the largest early finish time. If E is delayed, H will be delayed also. So activity E controls ES of H, which is 85. The earliest finish for activity H or the project is 100 days. Now we have all values of ES and EF for each activity. It's time to go backward. The backward path starts with the last project activity on the network. In this case, is H. In early planning stages, this time is usually set equal to the early finish of the last project activity. The LF for activity H becomes 100 days. The backward pass is similar to the forward pass. You need to remember that. You subtract activity times along each path, starting with the project end activity. You carry the LS value to the preceding activity to establish its LF. Continue subtracting activity duration from each late finish time to get late start time of a certain activity. Now, be aware that C is a burst activity that precedes activities E and F. The late finish for C is controlled by the LS of E and F. The smallest LS of activities E and F will establish the LF for activity C. Next, subtract 25 days from 35 will get the LS or late start for C. How about A? Remember, it is also a burst activity. So LF for activity A is the least value between LS of B and C. And this times 10. Subtracting 10 days from it, and we'll get the LS for A, 0. The backward pass is complete, and the latest activity times are known. When the forward and backward pass have been computed, it is possible to determine which activities can be delayed by computing slack or float time. What is slack time? Total slack tells us the amount of time an activity can be delayed and not delay the project. Total slack or float for an activity is simply the difference between the LS and ES or between the LF and EF. For example, the total slack for activity D is 15 work days, and so forth for those of other activities. Okay. But remember, if total slack of one activity in a path is used, the ES for all activities that follow in a chain will be delayed and their slack reduced. After slack for each activity is computed, the critical path is identified. In general, it includes activities that have LF equal EF or a slack of 0. Therefore, the critical path of this project is ACEH. Delay of any of these activities will delay the total project by the same number of days. However, in terms of definition, the critical path is the network path that has or have the least slack in common. It is because sometimes in a project, the LF of a critical activity differs from its EF. If this is the case, the total slack of the critical path is not 0. Critical activities typically represent about 10% of the activities of the project. Therefore, project managers pay close attention to the critical path activities to be sure they are not delayed. I have just illustrated how to use AON network to compute the expected project duration, slack time of each activity by going forward and backward the network. The example only showed you the most frequent dependencies between activities, FS or finish to start relationship. There are also FF, SS, and SF relationships when we talk about activities dependencies. Moreover, there are another approach to contribute a project network, which is AOA or Activity on Arrow method. Each method has its own advantages and disadvantages. I would like you to read through these issues in the textbook. A decision of choosing one method should be guaranteed that it is more suitable over the other one. Thank you for watching. See you next time.